right, 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night, April 1st. Live from Studio 6B, Real America's Voice. Glad you're in. Slick Rick's doing sports. Rick Delgado's got the news. Vinnie Mac back. Got some news as well. Aaron and Fran holding it down as always on a Tuesday. New month, new quarter. Glad you're in, everybody. Wherever you're watching, whether it's on Real America's Voice or on socials, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up. And, of course, if you're watching on Real America's Voice, well, then you've probably already downloaded the app. And if you haven't, and you know friends who haven't, make sure they download the Real America's Voice app on whatever platform you're watching on. We appreciate it. Slickster, how are you tonight?
All right, Big D, what's going on?
How was your day?
Good day today.
Very good, very good. Mr. Delgado, how was your day?
I was extremely efficient, Damon. I had a list for myself. I accomplished everything on my list, and now I'm here.
All right, very good. Vinnie Mac, you're back.
I am back, and what a trip I had, let me tell you.
Where did you go?
I was in Sarasota and West Palm, and I drove. And I can tell you I spotted two guys with no shoes sitting on a bridge and playing the banjo on the way through the center of the state of Florida.
Really?
Yes, it was quite an interesting experience. The center of that state are all farms. I mean, everywhere I looked was cows, horses, something like that.
So you drove from one side to the other, one coast to the other coast?
Yeah, 3.5 hours to get from the west coast of Florida to the east coast. It was great. Interesting to see.
Which way did you go? Did you take alligator?
I didn't. No, I did not. I went in the center of the state, right across. Lake Okeechobee.
Yes, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Really nice, though. I liked it a lot.
Okay, very good. Vinnie Mac will have some news as well, so will Delgado. Of course, big night tonight. Special elections in, obviously, Wisconsin and in Florida. Florida, there's already some calls being made. As it looks like Jimmy Patronis is going to win the U.S. House 1 special election general. That race looks like it's already been called, even though there's only about 10% reporting, but they've called Jimmy Patronis. Patronis is the GOP candidate. And it looks like they've called Randy Fine, who is also, obviously, as we've spoken of, the GOP candidate. And he's going to win, but he is not going to win in Trump-DeSantis style at all for where he's at. Right now it's 54 to 44. He's up 10. They've already called it. 95,852 votes for Randy Fine, 77,813 for Joshua Weil. And then the other two have nothing. But so they've called both races there for the Republicans.
Yeah, we needed that.
And obviously in Wisconsin, we're waiting for the votes for the polls to close. And that'll happen more in the 9 o'clock hour. Now, in the 9 o'clock hour here on Real America's Voice, Charlie Kirk is going to be doing a special at 9 o'clock, still starting around 9, on this Wisconsin Supreme Court general election. And then also, what else? Wisconsin, they have question 1 requiring voter photo ID amendment. That's up tonight as well. Wisconsin State Superintendent of Public Instruction general election also is tonight, so he'll be following. So 9 o'clock, the network's going to kick over to Charlie Kirk. If you want to stay with us, we'll be live still on our socials right through 10, our normal time. So that's the plan for Real America's Voice tonight. But the two House races, Delgado, have both been called for the Republican, and a win's a win, so yeah, we'll take it. But certainly not with Trump or DeSantis numbers there for Randy Fine.
Then again, it doesn't matter. A win is a win, like you said. Whether you win by 1 or 101, you still win. So we take it and we move on and we celebrate.
Well, I think it does matter, though, for the long-term health of the state when you think about the governor leaving and you think about the Republicans right now and the lack of stuff going on the national level, and then what you're seeing out of the Florida legislature on some of what we've just gone through in the last month and a half with immigration, what Randy Fine and others were trying to do with the Secretary of Agriculture, taking over immigration, trying to take it away from the governor. So I think it does matter. I know what you mean. It doesn't matter as far as this seat goes. Yes, you wins it.
Yeah.
But I think the overall does matter a lot for the health of the state. And where we are with the Republican Party.
Usually when there's something like this that goes on and there's an incumbent like Trump and the Republicans won so big, the other side comes out in big numbers to really create a fight. So I think that they're always skewed. You very rarely see, after there's been a win like we've had, the continuing that at the levels, because the apathy happens with voters, especially on the Republican side. So I did fear that, and we might be seeing a little of that in this election. But I agree with Rick, man. The bottom line is the bottom line.
Yeah.
We got ourselves 2 more seats. We needed 2 more seats, and now we need a couple more seats in the Senate when all that comes up or something else happens there. But it's a good thing.
Well,
it's a good day.
This was really a hold.
Right. This was a special election.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
Yes,
but 2 seats is
not
2
added
seats.
seats.
Yeah.
We're just held the seats. Right.
Yeah.
Now the other, I guess it's news. I mean, I'm hearing the Democrats are all excited about it. Like this is the energy we need. Is what Cory Booker's been doing.
Cory Booker. Oh yeah, he's great.
Could it be more pathetic?
And I saw something today that in New Jersey, just to give you an idea of where that state's at, that most likely voters were polled, and they all want. Not only are they excited about Cory Booker, but they're all anxious to get the governor back in for another term there, Phil Murphy.
Oh, man.
So that just gives you an idea of where.
Are you serious?
Of where New Jersey is at.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, really, you're serious?
No, I'm dead serious. That this was a poll taken in New Jersey. I think I actually think I tweeted about it, and it said yes. It said new polling shows that most New Jersey residents who are also likely voters want Governor Murphy to return for a 3rd term. So.
Well, it is April 1st.
Well, let's hope. I mean, I saw some things today, by the way, and I had to remind myself that it was April 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were not having to do with April 1st. They actually were really true. One of them, my daughter brought to me, one of the big dance companies she dances for, went bankrupt today.
Really?
This artistic design, whatever, ADE, which kids all over the country have attended. And she was supposed to be dancing in an ADE convention this weekend. Well, they went bankrupt today, and it wasn't. I thought, oh, this is pretty vicious April Fool's joke.
Wow.
They posted this one pager on their homepage of their website saying, we're done. Well, guess what? It wasn't an April Fool's.
It wasn't
They're
an April
done.
Fool's joke.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. See, it just, the Democrat thing strikes me because Trump did so well in the state of New Jersey. Almost flipped it.
Yeah.
Did so well. What do you call it? You had state and I think one representative actually flipped from Democrat to Republican because the writing was on the wall. All the things that the Democrats stand for, people hate. So the people that are pushing the things that the people hate, you're saying that there's overwhelming enthusiasm to get them back in to keep doing the things that the people hate. Is that what you're saying, Dave?
Yes.
All right. Because according to CNN, I don't know if you saw Harry Enton's poll today. Democrats are spiraling with numbers down across the board. So much so, even he does like a little thing at the end to stamp it home.
Well, no, not Cory Booker today has changed all that. Haven't you heard this?
Oh, he did?
Yes.
By staying up all night yelling at people.
Yeah, the Democrats are very excited, saying this is what we needed. This is what we needed. Get the transcript of this.
That's what
I'm
they need
serious.
to say.
I'm not joking. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I'm hearing from the left today. They are energized by Cory Booker. They feel like this is what the Democrat Party needs. Get the transcript out. We need more of this. This is what they're saying.
All right.
Well,
I think it's laughable too, but I'm just telling you what I'm hearing.
Do you want to see CNN?
Yeah.
All right. Cut number 8. Here's Harry Enton. I don't think he's as excited for the Democrats as, Cory Booker's mom is. Cut number 8.
One. Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than these numbers.
And this is the number right here really driving all of this. If Democrats have turned, if Democratic voters have turned on Democrats in Congress and the Democratic Party, that's what puts the numbers at historic lows. What is it they want to be seeing, these voters?
What is going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They don't like what's coming out of some of those Senate Democrats like Chuck Schumer, because take a look at the direction of the party. Democratic voters on Democrats in Congress doing too little to oppose Donald Trump. Look at this, 77% should stay principled, even if it means nothing gets done in Washington, D.C. 65%. And this 65% is such a difference from where we were in 2017 at this point, when just 33% of Democrats say they should stay principled, compared to 59% who said they want to compromise. Democrats do not want compromise at this point. They want a fighter. They want to go into the ring like Muhammad Ali did against Sonny Liston. They want to take down the Republicans. They do not want this compromise anymore. They want to be more like Republicans, can get up to that stage and fight. And right now they feel like their leaders in Congress are simply put not doing so. And that is why their approval rating for congressional Democrats is at an all-time low, even among Democrats with more disapproving than approving.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's why Cory Booker's getting the accolades he's getting, because he's up there, he's quasi-fighting. This is all fake. They need a shiny object to look at.
I mean, the idea that Cory Booker is standing up there for 20 hours is going to have some meaningful impact on any of this is laughable.
It's
I
not
mean,
meaningful.
who's going to remember it 5 minutes after he's done? Nobody.
It's the fact that he's up there fighting. I mean, what this guy said is pretty accurate. They're looking for someone to fight, wrongly or rightly, right?
Yeah.
Cory Booker got up there and created the illusion that he's fighting, because that's how he speaks. He speaks like he's fighting, he speaks like he's a tough guy, right? That's how he talks. That's what they're resonating, with, and thinking like, oh, he could be our next leader. They don't know who the heck they are. They don't know where they're going, but they're just latching on to anyone that's speaking hard. Here's the scariest part of what you just showed. That statistic that said 60-some-odd% say fight. The country voted overwhelmingly for the types of changes that are being made.
Right.
And the Democratic Party is going to do double what they did when Trump's first term, which was to fight everything, even if it means curing cancer. Whatever it means, it just doesn't matter. And I don't like that. You would hope some would just say, you know what?
Cleaning up fraud and waste,
Yeah.
maybe we should get behind that. Maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe there's some good things.
Let's get on board with that. Let's not keep gang members who want to kill and rape Americans in the country. Well, I think I can get on board with that. Not Cory Booker, not the Democrats.
No.
And what's crazy is that they want to fight her. They've been fighting since this election ended in November. The fact that Cory Booker, almost 6 months later, is now their guy means they've gone through a lot of people who suck at fighting.
And that's just this week.
Right.
I mean, he's the guy this week. Next week it'll be someone else.
Right.
But they want to fight for the sake of fighting.
Right.
That's just unacceptable to me.
Not actually doing anything.
Right.
All right, 13 past the hour, just getting started live from Studio 6B. We're with you on Real America's Voice till 9 p.m., and then we're on socials till 10. Turn it over to Charlie Kirk around 9 o'clock. Slick's going to do sports. Delgado's got news. Vinnie Mac's got some news as well coming up.
I've never liked Cory Booker.
No, he's
Never. Even if he found Jimmy Hoffa's body, I still wouldn't like him in New Jersey.
Total clown.
In Newark,
They find Hoffa's body. You know what they're going to say?
What?
Touchdown!
Yeah. Maybe the Jets will get a touchdown and find the body at the same time. But his only brand is talking tough. That's the brand. And he's a good-looking guy. He's articulate and all that kind of nonsense. But he's got nothing to bring to the table but articulating toughness. Ridiculous.
And even then, he ceded that when he capitulated to Obama.
Chat. What's going on?
Yeah, come on, Big D.
In the chat.
Man, look at all.
Ron and Norma Klein are complaining you don't shout out the chat. You're not talking. Come on, we're in the break.
Yeah.
We got 20 LFS 6B memberships gifted from Child of the King tonight. Big
Oh,
D,
Child of the
YouTube
King.
Super
Thank you
Chat.
very much.
Thank you very much for that.
Gifted subs, I love.
Much love to Child of the King.
College grad failure. Hello on X. How's the X chat been working? They fixed it? Anybody fixed that? Or
It's
Oh, it's
rocking.
been good?
It's rocking. Charles
Okay.
Barkley's shorts are in there. So is
Okay,
Tumbleweed
very good.
Farmer, Racing Banshee, Sofa King Nuts.
Ticked off Patreon on YouTube. What's going on?
Cat's in the chat.
We're down on kick tonight, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we didn't fix whatever the problem was.
Yeah,
last
we're going
time,
to
I
kick
think.
that can down the road, Fran. Don't worry
Well, it's
about it.
definitely
Brooke.
something on kick's end, I think. So
Huh?
that it only seems to affect kick, so it must be on their end.
College grad failure, also in the Twix chat.
Mona Kelly reminds me that Cory Booker was Spartacus.
Lonnie
remember?
on YouTube. Hello.
How about Raphael
I am
Boo Boo?
Spartacus.
Delgado, did you check out the UFO radio show?
Joe in Las Vegas,
Always.
$99 super chat from Joe and Angela in Las Vegas. The Sicilian sauce, pasta, meatballs, and sausage are always on the stove for the LFS 6B team. The Sphere is waiting for you.
Hey, what did I get bumped off? That's
Wait.
I'm supposed to read those.
Wait a second.
Well, just jumped in
Well,
front
you
of me.
see a
so-
big one right away. Big D's got to get the $100 chat. I get the $5. Come on, this is big
I
stuff.
want the
here.
sauce and meatballs. You could take the money.
Hey, pasta vajul.
Hey, beef brajol, take it easy over there.
Whoever comes to you with the meeting, he's the traitor.
You're gonna be a stuffed pinwheel in a minute, Big D.
Oh, look at that. He's throwing some stuff at
If
it.
someone's making sauce and meatballs, I'm in. No matter what, no matter where. Be a nice gesture to ship it here, by the way. Thank
The
you.
bones.
I might be going to Vegas soon. Vinny might be coming with me, too.
Oh yeah,
We
hey,
may
I'm
have
probably
to
gonna go
shoot
to the
some things
Sphere,
there.
taking an Eagles concert. I know.
I haven't been there since
we know
Mo
how
Green
this
and
goes.
Fredo
Bones
left
is in
town.
the Rumble
Green and
chat.
Fredo?
Mo Green and
can't-
Fredo left town. I mean, what's there to do in Vegas anymore?
Yabba-da-da. All right, 17 past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night, April 1st. No, we do not have any lame April Fool's jokes to try to pull off here
No,
tonight.
Delgado's here. That's enough.
Oh, man. Slick Rick's on fire tonight.
It's always on fire.
He hates
He
everybody.
walks in, he's got Everlast in the middle of his shirt.
It's not Everlast. You just can't read.
Yo, Adrian.
Vin's a boxer, you know.
That's why I'm on
Yeah,
the
I
show.
box. Thank you.
Yeah.
In a box. I box in a box. Yes.
All right, I got a $5 rant from Ratchet in the Rumble chat, if you don't mind. Vin is downright crazy if he thinks Booker is articulate. If you watch any of the man, couldn't even read as far as good looking. Vin's taste is all in his mouth. That's odd.
We're seeing other people.
From
but-
Ratchet, $5 rant, and KT Frog with a $20 rant.
Okay.
There,
I'll
Damon.
take it.
Hell yeah, Florida, thank God. Talking about the election results coming out of Florida.
Yeah, I saw someone in Florida said, Damon, can't we just enjoy the win? Yes, of course you can enjoy the win, but you should be concerned that I would think, you don't have to be. I am. You don't have to be, though. That an area that Trump wins plus 40,
Yeah.
guy's going to win like single digits.
I don't think I'm concerned. Because under a normal circumstance, you'll have a bigger turnout overall, and that number will probably
What you should be concerned about
back
is
into
our
double digits.
inability to put up the proper candidate. Plain and simple. That's it.
Well, if the candidate won, it was the proper candidate.
Okay.
It's like insurance.
And you can operate under that. You can go with that if that's your apparatus mondi apparatus for getting candidates. That's not the way I would do it.
That's a
No,
lot
I
of words.
understand.
Just find a guy who can just barely slip by.
No, I didn't say that, did I?
Yeah, I think that is what you did.
I said
if he won, he's the right candidate.
If that's
you
the
just
guy
said.
who won, then he was the right candidate. It's like what's the best life insurance app? The kind you have that's enforced when you pass away. That's the best one.
That would be like saying you have Ron or Rand Paul against some rhino Republican, but just because it's in Texas, the guy wins. Oh, he was the right candidate. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Not when you can get somebody from the Freedom Caucus or somebody like that to win, and you get a Mitch McConnellite to win. He's not the right candidate, even if he wins. And that's what we do all the time. Plain and simple. We do it all the time, all over the country. And if we don't start getting the right primary candidates, nothing is going to change in Washington. That's the point.
Is a lot of these guys are just weak, though.
Right.
I mean, I think to Damon's point, I kind of agree with both of you in a sense because, yeah, we won. Boom.
Yeah, you take the win.
But the caliber candidate, and we have been burned by this for decades with Republicans that do not have backbone, that do not do our things. And the one thing about Florida that did raise a red flag for me was when Damon was talking about all that stuff going on with immigration and how they're blocking all those moves. And I mean, that did kind of scare me because that is not at all what the platform is and what they ran on.
I mean, under that theory, Lindsey Graham winning is going to be good for South Carolina. Under your theory,
under my theory, yes, it'll be good for us to have that seat as opposed to a Democrat who will never relinquish it, and they'll put it in where all of a sudden now it's a blue. No, we'll take the red, wait for this guy to die off, and hopefully have somebody else come up and take the mantle over.
Yeah, I'll never get there.
There's two ways of doing it.
Give me the Dem.
Instead
of Lindsey Graham.
Then relinquish control.
Couldn't be worse. What would be the difference? What would be the material difference?
Big difference.
I'd say about three-quarters of the votes.
Yeah.
You know, Graham still votes along. I'm not a Graham fan, but he still votes along party lines for the most part, and then sticks his head up his arse a couple of times, and gets us all freaked out. But if you have a Dem in there, they're going to vote 100% of the time with the Dems.
Yeah, I see no material difference between most of the blue and red in Washington, D.C. That's the problem.
Well, that is the problem.
It is a big problem.
I just don't. There's just no difference between them.
Because a lot of these...
go to Conservative Review and go to their Liberty score and see their votes on these bills. There's no damn difference between most of them. There's no difference. This is why we say if we don't make red states as red as they can make blue states blue. So that's what's going to materially affect your life. What's going on in the states, in your state, in your area. So, all right, let's do some sports. 21 past the hour. Sports is brought to you by Mike Lindell. LFS6B is the promo code to use. Slickster, what's going on?
All right, Big D, another tournament going on. It will be the NIT tournament, NCAA Division I men's basketball in action tonight. Semifinals. We got North Texas leading UC Irvine 36-31, 14 to go in the second half. And finals from earlier today, Cincinnati over DePaul 83-61. And UCF edges Oregon State 76-75 in a thriller. Villanova, Colorado, Chattanooga, Loyola, Chicago, Tulane and USC, all coming up between 8:30, 9:30, and 11 p.m. respective tip-offs. To the ice we go. NHL heating up down to the wire here, turning the corner and bringing the home stretch. About 8-9 games left, depending on what team you're rooting for. We got the Capitals over the Bruins right now, 2-1, 9 to go in the second period. 11 to go in the second period as well. Panthers and Canadians tied at 1. Canadians, they need this win too. They want to get one of those last two wild card spots up for grabs. The Sabres over the Senators, 2-0, 9 to go there in the second. Predators right now trailing the Blue Jackets 4-3, 11 to go there in the second. Lightning and Islanders, you barely score arena, and they're barely scoring. After 1, it's tied at 1. And the Islanders need this game too because they're slowly sliding away. Red Wings and Blues, no score there, 12 to go in the first. Flames are taking on the Utah Hockey Club, 9 p.m. puck drop there. And at 10 p.m., both of these puck drops, Oilers and Golden Knights and the Sharks are out in Anaheim taking on the Ducks. Jets and Kings also 10:30 puck drop in crypto.com arena there out in LA. Now let's get to a quick story here. Department of Education issues final warning to Maine on trans athlete ban. This is Paul Boy of Breitbart reporting. The U.S. Department of Education has issued a final warning to Maine so that it complies with President Donald Trump's ban on transgender athletes in women's sports. The Department of Education, DOE, sent a letter to the Maine Department of Education on Monday advising that the state has until April 11th to meet President Trump's executive order, which called to rewrite federal Title IX education rules to withhold federal funds from schools that allow transgender athletes to play as females. The Maine Department of Education's indifference to its past, current, and future female athletes is astonishing. By refusing to comply with the Title IX MDOE allows, indeed encourages male competitors to threaten the safety of female athletes, wrongfully obtain girls' hard-earned accolades, and deny females equal opportunity in educational activities to which they are guaranteed under Title IX, the letter said. Right? All pretty obvious points, right, gentlemen? Yeah. Under prior administration's enforcement was an illusionary proposition no more. The Trump Trump-McMahon education department is moving quickly to ensure that our federal funds no longer support patently illegal practices that harm women and girls, it added. As Breitbart News reported last week, the Department of Health and Human Services announced that Maine violated federal civil rights laws by allowing males to play on female sports teams. And, well, it's down to the wire for them. Either they comply on April 11th or they get their federal fund pulled, which is going to kill them.
And you know what's interesting, Slick? There was an ACLU lawyer, real quick clip for you if you want it.
Sure.
Talking just about this and saying there are no cases, Slick, no matter what you and I say or what we see for ourselves in real life, no cases of men in women's sports, believe it or not. Here, check this out. Cut number 11.
Hard to believe.
ACLU lawyer says that exact thing. Cut 11.
The policies that are claiming that transgender women in sports are men are wrong. The president is lying when he says that there are men impersonating women and participating in women's sports. There are no examples of men impersonating women that I am aware of. And it is incorrect to refer to transgender women and girls as men and boys.
There you go.
Wow, I was wondering what Barat was doing these days.
Wondering who his hairstylist is.
Who's the guy who's the guy he was talking to who's just sitting there silent, listening to this nonsense?
I think he was just stunned at the stupidity.
His name is Common Sense. That's a wrap in sports, Big D. Back to you. Thank you, Rick.
Our news coming up live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday.
Everything out of a team that doesn't have the amount of talent it takes to really win. Like this is, they're overperforming in many ways, right? Because they don't really have that talent to take it to the next level. Imagine if we got a couple of major dudes in there.
You lost Barzell, arguably your best player.
That really hurt.
And you traded away actually your best player, Brock Nelson, this year. You traded him away.
They played really well without him, I have to say.
They played better without him, but he is still was their best player.
Yeah. Very frustrating.
So 9 Republicans, speaking of this, since we were just speaking about this, 9 Republicans joined all 213 Democrats today, and this is a win. I'm seeing people cheer.
This is the work from home thing?
Yeah. The proxy voting.
This is a win for Republicans? People are cheering the 9?
It's not a win.
Am I missing something?
It's the opposite. It's a loss. Who's cheering this?
I mean, I'm seeing people congratulate Anna Paulina Luna just because I guess she's a new mom. I get that, but like we're cheering for her because she joined the Democrats. 9 of them again slowing down the Trump agenda here.
That's the thing.
By the way, someone reminds me, when you vote people like Lindsey Graham, and just remember that he's the kind of guy who's voted for all these judges that are blocking the Trump agenda. So there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this stuff too.
But he's also voted for the judges that Trump put up. He covers himself.
He plays both sides.
Yeah, he plays both sides.
He plays both sides, and as we're seeing what's going on with Doge, that both sides are getting, more so the Democrats, but both sides are getting greased, and they're all the corruption that we're seeing. Nothing surprises me anymore of any of these rhinos. You're going to find some other connection, some deeper connection.
Super chat, Ron and Norma Klein. Thank you. $9.99 specifically for Slick Rick. Damon, why are you so mean to Slick Rick and Delgado? I saw you actually vote for Biden twice. April Fools. I love Ron and Norma Klein.
Why?
All right.
Yeah. You follow that?
Exactly.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, me neither.
That is weird. Can you do Ed McMahon? You are correct, sir.
He just said the yes, sir.
You are correct.
You are correct, sir.
Greg Blacker, $10 in the super chat. Thank you. Damon is correct on this one. The reason you have rhinos is precisely because they rely on people having Delgado. Delgado's perspective.
What happened?
Drag Black says Damon is correct on this one. The reason you have rhinos is precisely because they rely on people having Delgado et al.'s perspective.
All right, 30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Tuesday night. Remember, 9 o'clock, Real America's Voice is going to kick it over to Charlie Kirk, who's going to be doing a special on the special elections going on, especially focused on, I think, Wisconsin will be the majority of what they focus on, that special election going on there. Obviously, for the Supreme Court, control is in the balance. So they'll be focused on that. So that'll come up at 9 o'clock. We'll continue on all socials. And if you're watching on socials, this is why you hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up, and bell notification if they have it on whatever you're watching on, so you make sure you're notified when we go live, and make sure you're always with us when we go live on a night like tonight. So 30 minutes past the hour. Let's do some news now. We'll get in both news here with Vinnie Mac, and starting with Rick Delgado. What's going on?
All right. Well, I don't know if you saw this. Tim Burchett, the representative out of North Carolina, he was talking about the panic that's going on in D.C. Of course, Doge being the still the hot story in D.C., exposing all the waste, fraud, and abuse that we've known for years in Washington. Of course, Elon Musk has been out a lot talking about it lately. He's been making the rounds, talking about trying to be as transparent as possible and making sure that everything is out there. But here's what Tim Burchett had to say about how this is starting to make some people nervous. And, well, see it for yourself. Here's cut number 7, Tim Burchett talking about the panic he's seeing around Washington, D.C. Cut number 7.
How did we end up where we are?
Well, that's an excellent question. And when you see people here in Tennessee paying 50% of their income to state, federal, and local taxes through through everything else, fees and everything else, and then they see us sending literally billions overseas to our enemies. I've uncovered $40 million going to the Taliban. A guy named Sean Ryan over in Middle Tennessee, former Navy SEAL, podcaster. He and another guy named Legend had brought this to my attention. And, last term, I could not even get the Democrats to bring it up in the Senate. It passed unanimous in the House, not even a question, because they're going to have to admit they made a mistake. And they've continuously made a mistake, and they did it on purpose, is the worst part about it. And this graph that you're seeing, and that's 100% what it is. Yeah. I think you're going to see a paper trail come back to Washington, D.C., and that's why I think a lot of people are nervous, and you'll see a lot of retirements, because they are stealing from the American taxpayer, and now they've got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and all they can do is attack Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong right, words. Huh? 100%.
Yeah, pretty strong words coming from Representative Tim Burchett. And I even heard Elon Musk talking today that we could be seeing arrests very soon. So we'll see what happens. And again, it's all because of this, this move by the Trump administration to carry out another promise. Let's get rid of all the fraud, waste, fraud, and abuse of of Washington, D.C., and trim some of these agencies down and eliminate others. And look what you've been finding. Wasted money being sent, NGOs being enriched throughout the Biden administration. Just crazy, crazy stuff in terms of numbers, money being spent, what have you. So we'll see what happens with that. Here is Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt as she talks about another way we've been getting fleeced, and that's, of course, with trade practices from other countries. Here it is, cut number 3. Here she is talking about that. Other unfair trade practices with the U.S., cut number 3.
Look at the unfair trade practices that we have. 50% from the European Union on American dairy. You have a 700% tariff from Japan on American rice. You have a 100% tariff from India on American agricultural products. You have nearly a 300% tariff from Canada on American butter and American cheese. This makes it virtually impossible for American products to be imported into these markets, and it has put a lot of Americans out of business and out of work over the past several decades. So It's time for reciprocity, and it's time for a president to take historic change to do what's right for the American people, and that's going to take.
Yeah, so there you have it, addressing some of the unfair trade practices going on, from the other countries with their tariffs that you never hear about.
Those are great examples. But let me ask you this. What is wrong with having a reciprocal tariff?
Yeah.
What is the problem? What? I know it's a rhetorical question. What is the problem? Why is our country having a cow over reciprocal tariffs? Why? It's this media narrative. It's the Democratic narrative. What is it?
It's because Trump's doing it.
Exactly.
If it was Obama, if it was Biden, if it was anybody else, they'd be all on board. As a matter of fact, when Biden kept President Trump's tariffs in for China, nobody batted an eye. Nobody complained. Nobody raised a stink. Nobody did anything.
And they kept it quiet, too.
They kept it quiet. They shut their trap, and they said, you know what, this works out for us. Fine, we'll do it. As soon as the new guy came back, or the old guy came back, I should say, all of a sudden, now there's a problem.
Yep.
How could you do this? You're driving up prices. Meanwhile, they didn't address the 4 years of inflation under the Biden administration, where prices went up dramatically. But, everything is orange man bad there, Vin.
Yeah. When you see an example of 700%,
right,
okay, on something, when you see some of those examples, you don't hear any of them. All you hear is tariff bad, reciprocal bad.
Right.
Like the car thing, 25% tariff, right?
Yep.
Europe charges us almost double that to ship our cars over there.
Right, which is why you don't see American cars really on the roads in Europe. It's too expensive to own.
Or in Japan.
Right.
Or in many other places.
Right, but people here don't want to pay 25% more for their cars. That could be part of it, too. And they know that you could ask the car companies to not raise that 25% and pass it along, but they're not going to do that.
That's all true, I think. But the reality is, and I've gotten into this debate with a few people, the reality is by simply laying the foundation that these tariffs are going to be reciprocal and all of those types of things, I don't believe in the long run they're actually going to exist. I think this is all negotiating. It's negotiating until someone cries chicken.
Yeah.
And I think it's negotiating ultimately that's not going to impact the U.S. Consumer and economy in the long run. In the short term, I think Trump has said it well. We might have a little pain. But this is what it's about. I've got a friend of mine in the car aftermarket, business, and he's having a fit. And he said, "What do you think? What do you think?" I'm like, "What do I think? This is negotiating. Calm down.
Yeah,
you're going to win big here
in the long run.
Yeah.
You just can't go for the quick buck.
The impulse.
Right. And let's face it. When you compare our economy to the others around the world, they need us more than we need them.
100%.
So they're going to blink first, and we're going to see that. Anyhow, I don't know if you guys caught this real quick. A staffer for the aforementioned senator from New Jersey, Mr. Cory Bug-Eyed Booker, I should say. This staffer was arrested yesterday evening for carrying a firearm onto the Capitol grounds after failing to go through security. Yesterday afternoon, a member of Congress led an IDED staff member around security screenings at the Hart Senate office building, Capitol Police said in a statement. Later that evening, outside the gallery, the IDED staff member, who was retired law enforcement, told our officers he was armed, and then he was arrested. The staff member, Kevin A. Batts, not licensed to carry a firearm on the grounds. Police said all weapons are prohibited from the Capitol grounds, even if you're a retired law enforcement, and he did not have a permit to carry in another state or the District of Columbia. The arrest follows 2 prior firearm-related incidents in recent months involving congressional staff members. So there you have it, Mr. Cory Booker. Now he's got to bail his guy out of jail because he's carrying guns around the Capitol grounds, and he shouldn't be.
Well, maybe Kamala can raise some money for him.
Well, there you go.
She's good at that.
She's very good at that.
Yeah.
And all right, that's what I got for you.
All right, we'll do some more news with Delgado in a little bit. Let's do some news here while we can with Vinnie Mac. Remember, 9 o'clock, Real America's Voice is going to kick over and carry Charlie Kirk and his gang, who are going to be covering the Wisconsin Supreme Court special election. So that'll be at the top of the hour. We'll continue on all socials. Vinnie Mac, what's going on?
Yeah, there's so much going on, right? I mean, it's hard to pick what is the most important. But to me, I've spotted 2 major things that have historic, keeping this republic and democracy in place. Two major things. We talked about Elon Musk, and I think he's one of them. Not just in the fraud and the waste and the stuff that Rick brought up, but what he's really uncovering is the process in which the politicians are siphoning money, or folks like George Soros are creating more dangerous groups to do harm to our country. So historical change number one, and this is so impactful because it literally unwinds most of the major corruption going on in our government, and I'm kind of past the fraud and the waste because I'm taking it for granted. I'm talking about a process where they're funding NGOs all over the world. They're cycling the money around, as Elon says, in a circle to come back to these very dirty people in Congress and in the House that are corrupting our government. That's number one. Number two is almost more impactful, if you can believe that, and that is we have three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Why are there three? Because those are the checks and balances to keep things going. The Supreme Court could save or harm this country in a way that it has never been harmed in the history of our country. Never. Why? Because it's in their hands now to enable and allow these three branches of government to work properly, because they're not working now. The Supreme Court needs to step in with all of these judges that have stepped in. Damon's brought this up so many times. You have a rogue judge who is creating policy. You have a rogue judge who's basically saying you can or you can't send money here or there. Decisions that are in the executive branch and or the legislative branch. You can argue that all you want. But if the Supreme Court does not act, and they're not acting right now, they're not doing anything to stop this. So just think about the future. The future of our country, the power play that's going on right now is within whoever controls these judges. Not who has the presidency, not who has the Congress, not who has the House, not even who controls the Supreme Court. That's what's at stake right now, the future of our country and the future of our republic. And I'm not underplaying this. This is dramatic stuff. The Supreme Court has a moment to make this correct. I'm fearing that they're moving really slow and they're not taking this seriously. But it is the one thing that our founding fathers made it purposefully in place, to have these particular three things to check and balance things, not rogue judges. So I am calling for the Supreme Court to do not only what's right, but our futures are more affected by this decision or lack of decision than anything going on here. And I just laid out all the stuff going on with the corruption of our politicians. So this is bigger. So that's what's on my mind right now, Dan.
Yeah, I think that's well said. Just like to remind people who have been with us since 2015, I was saying this, I haven't just been saying this in the last 3 weeks. I've been saying this for the last 10 years. Not to this degree have we ever seen this.
Yeah.
But there are certain themes that this show has carried on for 10 years since me and Vinny started this thing in 2015. And rogue judges is one of them. And wrong candidates and rhino Republicans is another one. It's never ended. And it's never changed. And we've never seen it to this degree. Like I've always said, the Supreme Court, we're always two away from a conservative court. And now you've got Amy Coney Barrett and the Chief Justice, who none of us should sleep feeling comfortable in either one of them, quite frankly.
Nope.
Either one of them that they're going to make any moves here.
And that's the sad state. If we can't rely on the Supreme Court.
And as you said,
that is said.
The Supreme Court, you need four to get a decision on something that could be a life-changing, altering decision.
Yeah.
These district court judges, all of a sudden, they don't need anybody. It's just them. Well, guess what? I don't like that. So here's your TRO.
You can't function. A business couldn't function this way, and a government for sure can't function.
All right, more sports coming up. And speaking of the judges thing, it's a good lead into a video. Play that when we get back right after this.
Oh, Big
hello.
D. I didn't mean to set you up that bad. Whoa, Child of the King. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Super chat, Big D in the YouTube's chat, $76.17.
Child of the King, thank you very much.
Yep, Burkett said 50% of every single citizen. Expand that to USA income. 350 million people times 50% each person. They take half of everything you make every year. The slavery must end. Government officials need to pay it back to us. Amen to that. Thank you very much, Child of the King.
Yeah, I agree with all that money stuff, man, but this Supreme Court thing, I just think the implications here change the entire landscape of the country. Period.
Well, you know, the other thing to remember, Vin, is we don't necessarily need the Supreme Court when it comes to these judges. We could do it through Congress, but...
You know what? I meant to bring that up. You think Congress is going to tackle this at 51-49?
Not with Lindsey Graham types continue to be elected. No, they will not.
No, that's. I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they'll be able to do it. So you have to have the Supreme Court step in.
Hey, why control the power of the purse if you're going to not use it like a sledgehammer? What?
Just some housekeeping. We blew the last break, so we can toss right to Charlie if he starts a little before 9.
Okay, perfect.
The stream has started, but he's not there yet.
Okay, so you just cue me when they cue you, and then I'll throw it out to their coverage.
Copy.
Thank you. Make sure the cues.
You're watching this on social. There's going to be a little bit of once we throw it to Charlie, a little bit of a pause for the network to take over that, and then we'll be back with you here.
What's my cue? Check it.
We'll say.
Uh-oh. It'll be hell to pay.
Yeah, the Supreme Court cannot decide. It's we the people in Congress, and that is Chad Greenwood. And I agree with you, but I'm afraid we don't have a Congress that's going to agree. And it's not because they don't agree. It's because they can't get themselves together to actually effectuate a change like this.
You can't even get...
Old guy in Texas, $5 in the Super Chat. And Michael Robertson Sr., $20 in the Super Chat. Super Chat on fire tonight, Big D.
Thank you very much for the support to everybody. How about now? All right, 13 to the hour, live from Studio 6B. Great clip here we led into on what Vinny was just talking about. I don't know when this was. I think it was fairly recently. Our favorite, Senator Kennedy, had somebody from the Department of Justice over with him, and this was the discussion that they had. I mean, send this to every Republican congressional member and say, hello, here it is.
Senator, a universal injunction is what we call an order from a court enjoining the government in a way that goes beyond the parties to the case, but applies nationwide or in some cases universally to enjoin the government.
Is it sometimes referred to as a nationwide injunction?
Yes, it is, Senator.
What's the statutory basis for a federal judge issuing an order that affects people other than the parties before the court?
I'm not aware of a statutory basis, Senator.
There is no statutory basis, is there?
No, Senator.
What's the United States Supreme Court opinion which interprets the Constitution in a way that allows a federal district court judge to do this? Can you name me that case?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
There isn't one, is there?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
Explain to me how this works. How can a federal judge issue an order that affects everybody else other than those in front of him or her? How is that possible?
It shouldn't be possible, Senator, but district courts do it all the time. I think on the theory that the courts need to enjoin a federal policy from going into effect, and they often will enjoin it as nationwide, so all non-parties are protected by that injunction.
I thought that if you wanted to affect parties who aren't in court, you had to file a class action.
That's correct, Senator.
So why don't the federal judges, instead of issuing a universal injunction with no legal basis, tell the plaintiff, look, you got to go file a class action if you want to impact parties who aren't subject to my court?
Senator, the Department of Justice makes that argument all the time in our briefs. I think in many cases, class actions would be inappropriate. They wouldn't, the plaintiffs couldn't satisfy Rule 23 to establish a class.
So they couldn't?
Correct.
So they preferred to ask for a universal injunction?
Yes.
Does this encourage forum shopping?
Yes, Senator. Not only does it encourage forum shopping, but also district shopping and filing multiple strategic lawsuits to find one judge that will enjoin a single policy nationwide. If you have 5 lawsuits, a plaintiff, only one of those 5 cases needs to be successful.
Okay, we've established that there's no basis in statute and no basis in Supreme Court precedent for universal injunction. How about a common law? I mean, universal injunction is basically an equitable remedy. Did this exist in common law courts in England on which our law is based?
I don't believe so, Senator. I think the government has cited cases from the Supreme Court that says, courts are really bound by the scope of relief that a court in equity would have granted back in England before the founding. And the courts at that time would grant relief to the parties in the case, not far beyond the.
A universal injunction as a remedy is unknown in English common law, is it not?
I haven't done the research that far back, but I'm not aware.
I have. It's unknown. Wasn't part of equity. Only about 27 universal injunctions were issued in the 20th century. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, Senator.
But 86 of them were issued against President Trump in his first term. Is that correct?
I don't know the specific number, but they were a high number.
And so far in President Trump's second term, 30 universal injunctions have been issued against him. Have they not?
Senator, I don't have a specific number, but that sounds about right.
The universal injunction has become a weapon against the Trump administration, has it not?
Yes.
And tell me again in my last 10 seconds, tell me the basis for universal injunction in Article 3. I read Article 3, which defines judicial power. Where does it mention universal injunction?
It does not, Senator. It says courts are to decide the case or controversy before them, which is based on the parties to the case.
So the Congress could act and say, look, federal judges, you render a decision to a plaintiff or a defendant, but you can't impact people outside of your courtroom other than through a class action. That's why God created class actions, isn't it?
Yes, Senator.
There you go.
That's spot on.
Yeah.
You know what we talked about a couple of weeks ago? How to combat this? And that was everything that Kennedy just said is spot on. It's true. It's a farce that we've had to follow this. But I say don't follow it. I say don't follow the judge's decrees. They're not legit. And force Congress or the Supreme Court to step in and deal with this in an appropriate manner. Now, Congress, as we said, probably won't, and so the Supreme Court will. But why should Trump abide by any of this at this point? I mean, I think his best move is to defy the courts. I hate to say that because you're going to hear dictator. You're going to hear all the stuff that we've heard. But how do you defend this? You defend it by saying what Kennedy just said and not listening to it. You don't have jurisdiction here. You just keep doing what you're doing and force the Supreme Court in hysteria to deal with this issue, or Congress. But you can't do it by trying to fight it. Because you get another appellate judge, you get another one here.
It's years. You're years in the system.
And your entire agenda goes out the window.
And they know that.
Of course.
And that's exactly why they're doing it.
So I say defy him. They're already calling him a dictator. So let's finish the play.
And it's not really defying the court because the court, again, has no standing. I'm not defying anybody because you guys don't really count when it comes to this. You have no say. So I'm just listening to, I'm not going to listen to somebody who has no say.
And we've heard that. We've heard it from Pam Bondi. We've heard it from now the Senator Kennedy. We've heard it from many. This is not like we just made this up.
Right.
You know?
It'd still be nice to have the appellate court or the Supreme Court say you have no say. Because
of course.
Us saying it or Trump saying it, just like you said, feeds the he's a dictator who's going to run for 9 terms.
Well, that's why he's showing the court deference in this instance is he doesn't want that label. But, and again, you force their hand. It's like, look, if you think I'm a dictator, take this to the Supreme Court. Let them rule on it. See if you guys have the standing, and then I'll listen to you. Until that day comes, right? Until that day comes, you need to go to the Supreme Court. I'm not going to go because you guys don't matter to me. You don't have a say as to how I run this office.
They're just noise. Yeah. And until Trump really decides to take this as just noise, we're going to go on this merry-go-round. And we're going to figure eights until the Supreme Court comes. And we're not seeing them step up. Nobody's stepping up here.
No,
that can change this, right?
They're afraid to, right?
So how do you force it?
Yeah, by doing that. By saying, you know what? You guys don't exist to me.
It's time to do that.
If you want to exist, go to the Supreme Court. I dare you. And let them do it. And watch how the Supreme Court either takes it and knocks them down, or they won't bother going to the Supreme Court. And they'll just use the media. See, he wants us to go to the Supreme Court, but that's not how it's done. And that they'll get the media to carry their water. Oh, that's not how it's done. He has to come before us, kind of thing.
They're already asking the question whenever they do press conferences, like, is he going to follow the court order? Is he going to follow the court order? The court order is meaningless. That's like a court telling us that we can't drive, our cars to work. From some, other country. Belgium said you can't drive your cars for work in the United States. Really? We don't deal with those courts. They have no jurisdiction with us. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Trump's got a lot of guts. He's done a lot of controversial stuff. But for the sake of the country, I think he's got to put them on the table now.
Yeah.
And force.
Well, he's going to have the opportunity because some of these rulings, even in the last couple of days, you can't fire these people at this department. You have to look for other jobs within the department. That just came down the other day, whatever that was. The DEI fires. Mm-hmm. Oh no, you can't fire them. Actually fire them. You got to find other positions for them. Really? So I mean, he's going to have some basic, simple hiring, firing things that either they're going to follow through on what they originally wanted to do, or they're going to follow this TRO and do what they. So those decisions are on the doorstep right now on some of this.
And you know what this is? The word that they've been saying, this is a constitutional crisis. This is a real one, not the nonsense that we've been hearing about constitutional crises and all that kind of stuff. This is real, and this is a constitutional crisis. That's why I've said it in my segment. Like, I love what Musk is doing, but this is game-changing stuff. Like, this changes the trajectory of the entire country, not in a good way. We become France.
Well, all of these district court and all these courts in the Constitution. Oh, actually, no. I'm sorry. There's only one court recognized by our Constitution. That would be the Supreme Court. All the other ones are nowhere in the Constitution. They were created by Congress. And, of course, as we've said, Congress founded them. Maybe they should find a way to unfound them. But that would actually take them,
But how?
Deciding they want to do something.
How are we listening to this? I'm dumbfounded by this. When you hear these facts the way we're talking about them, when you hear Senator Kennedy talk, I'm dumbfounded by how are we even listening to him? We've all said the same thing. The senators have said the same thing. Everybody said the same thing. How are we listening to this? Right. What's holding us back?
And like that guy who was testifying said, file a class action lawsuit. Oh, they can't because they can't meet the requirements for one. Oh, well, I guess you're SOL, as they say. So
SOL.
All right, Slick, let's do some sports before the network takes over and goes to whatever they're going to. What's going on?
All right, big deal. Let's get to this story right here. Ex-Yankee star Brett Gardner's son may have died from carbon monoxide poisoning, authorities say. High levels of carbon monoxide contamination was found in the family's hotel room. This is Jackson Thompson of Fox News reporting. Costa Rican authorities provided an update regarding the investigation into the death of Miller Gardner, the 14-year-old son of former New York Yankees player Brett Gardner. Costa Rican Judicial Investigative Agency, OIJ, General Director Randall Zuniga told reporters at a press conference Monday that high levels of carbon monoxide contamination were found in the family's hotel room, and that might have been the cause of the teen's death. It's also important to note that next to the family's room, there is a specialized machine room from which that it is believed some form of contamination may have reached the guest rooms, potentially causing the incident, Zuniga said in Spanish via the New York Post. Zuniga added that the OIJ notified both the local fire department and the Ministry of Health in order for them to take appropriate action regarding this confirmed contamination in the room, said that the OIJ was working in tandem with the FBI in the U.S. as they wait for the final results from forensic toxicology. The Gardner family was vacationing in Costa Rica when they announced their tragic loss. So that is just terrible. 14-year-old kid on vacation with his family and may have died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Obviously, the toxicology reports will show and reveal what happened there, but it's just terrible. And 1 minute to Charlie. All right, I'll throw it to you, Big D. It's a wrap in sports. Very good,
Slick. We'll do some more sports in hour 2. Again, Real America's Voice is going to cut over to Charlie Kirk, who's doing a special tonight on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which polls are closing in 1 minute. So they'll be tracking all your incoming data, all your incoming votes, and we'll see where the Wisconsin Supreme Court ends tonight and some of the other, a couple other things on the ballot there, a couple of amendments we're up to. So they'll have all your coverage starting in 30 seconds over on Real America's Voice. If you want to stick with us, we're going to continue in on socials. So let's hit the break. We'll send it to Charlie Kirk and the boys. If you're going to stay with Real America's Voice, we'll see you tomorrow night. If you're staying with us on social, stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this.
Audience, welcome to the Thought Crime live stream of the Wisconsin special election. I'm here with Tyler Bowyer. Both of us are waiting on the polls to close in Wisconsin, which are closing in 3, 2, 1. Now the polls are closed in Wisconsin. We'll be getting joined by Charlie Kirk in just really any minute now. We'll be having Jack Posobiec join us later as well.
If you're in Wisconsin and you're in line, stay in line.
Don't worry about our stream.
You can listen to it while you're in line.
You can watch.
You can listen to it while you're voting, whatever, with the headphones in, like you're at a baseball game or something. But if you're in line, and let your family and friends know, stay in line. They have to let you vote once you're in line. So now this thing's locked down. Polls are effectively closed.
So let's just, for the new people who just joined, let's just repeat what you said about the turnout levels we're seeing compared to past elections.
We'll set this up for all of our Real America's Voice audience here. We are seeing and hearing reports of record level participation today on Election Day, which is good. We are going to break down again here for everyone. There's really 2 elements that exist within Wisconsin that we have to look at tonight, and we're going to look at this all throughout tonight. You have your Milwaukee WOW area, which is Washington, Ozaukee, and Waukesha counties. They're right around deep blue Milwaukee County. And then you have Dane County, which is the deepest, darkest, hole of Democrat voters that you have to make up with the rest of the state. And the rest of the state, you can make that up in Racine, in Kenosha, in Green Bay, and other parts, the more rural votes across the state, which are fairly sparsely populated. So what we're seeing and we're hearing is really good reports of turnout happening in the suburbs.
Chat.
Come on, Big D.
There we are.
Are we live in the chat or we're live?
Live.
Here we go. Live in the chat, everybody.
Gloves are off.
Again, we are here throughout the rest of the hour, so you'll get hour number 2 while we are in the chats. Of course, Damon went off to make some coffee in his moose cup.
Coffee.
Whoa.
It's a moose cup.
I think it's an Elks cup.
Where's Damon?
I think it's a moose. Anyhow, let's continue. Let's do some more sports with Slick Rick. Slick Rick Sports brought to you by Mike Lindell's MyPillow. You can go to mypillow.com, use our code LFS6B at checkout. And man, is it just a cry fest for the Islanders there?
It is a cry fest for the Islanders. Yes, I'm going to give an update on the score a little bit later. But right now, the Islanders are trailing 3-1 in the Hugh Bailey Score Arena, which really is applicable to the Islanders because they pretty much haven't been scoring much since they've got into that new venue. I have still not made it to that venue. I might be on a boycott. I'm going to spend my money on that kind of team. I'm only kidding.
I think you need to show up.
Look, last time they won the Cup, I was there. I'll never forget it. But I was 18. That was 42 years ago, a long time ago.
Wow.
Nice Elks Cup, Big D.
Yeah, that's a nice moose.
Yeah. chocolate mousse.
Hey, nice mousse.
So, Rick, NFL. Well, the NFL owners are in. They're down in the players' meeting. This, I think it's in Orlando this
Coffee
year.
at the Elks Club.
Yep. NFL makes controversial kickoff rule change that is sure to change the game. Dylan Gwynn at Breitbart. Sick of seeing the ball sail over the head of your team's kick returner? Tired of no returns and starting drives at the 25? Well, the NFL has enacted a rule change that should fix that. On Tuesday, the NFL owners voted to adopt a rule change to place the ball at the 35-yard line for touchbacks. The previous automatic spot for a touchback under the dynamic kickoff rule was the 30-yard line.
All right.
Why should this lead to more returns? Well, simply put, most coaches will consider it unacceptable to let the team start at the 35. You only have 65 yards to pay to it, so that is it makes it a lot shorter. In 2024, about one-third of kickoffs were returned, with most going into the end zone for touchbacks, Pro Football Talk reported. This year, the NFL is projecting that about two-thirds of kickoffs will be returned as teams decide giving their opponents better field position isn't worth booting the ball into the end zone. In addition to leading to more returns, the new rule will turn kickoffs into more of an art. A premium will be placed on having the ball fall short enough of the goal line, but not so close that it will likely bounce in for a touchback. So be a little bit of a craftsmanship there for some of these NFL kickers. So we will see what happens. I know Brandon Aubrey of the Dallas Cowboys will do real well because he's a former soccer player, and, well, they certainly know how to place the ball. But good stuff there. So, in other words, the ball must land short of the goal line, but far enough away from the receiving team where they must field it to prevent it from being down inside the 10-yard line. So, like I said, a little gamesmanship here might change the game a little. You don't want to give a team a ball on the 35 because whenever a guy took a kick out to the 35, what they always say, oh, it's a good return. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see how that happens. They did decide to take the tush push and push that off until next year. So they're not voting on that, which means the Eagles will continue to dominate teams with their tush push. So what can I tell you there? Super Bowl
it's not part of football.
Eagles.
To not have a return and defend a return coming out.
I agree.
It's not football.
It's not.
It's like it's a pass, for just not having to do anything.
Yeah. It's an exciting part of the game.
When you're in Sarasota, do you ever eat at Yoder's?
Yeah, Yoder's, great pies. It's an Amish place. Thank you, and I'm pro Amish. The Amish have they make their great pies. Okay. They make a great breakfast, a great place. So Yoder's for sure.
All right,
nice.
Very good.
Yes, and you got to yodel when you're in there.
They make those great fireplaces too.
They do.
Yeah, I know the Amish.
I see them they ride their bikes. They got electric bikes. I didn't know if they were allowed to do that. I keep asking.
To use electric bikes?
Whenever I see them, I'm like, is this against the Amish rule?
Is that Florida Amish?
I like to go to
Florida Amish.
What was the place in Jersey that I went to with my son by mistake?
Oh, Woody's. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I like? You know where I like to go when I'm on the road?
I heard you stiffed them on the tip. Did you? That's true.
Is you ever go to Cracker Barrel for breakfast?
Oh yeah, they make a nice breakfast.
Man,
they do.
on.
Yeah, I mean, they
got some good grits.
Come on. Yeah, but some of those, Denny's doesn't do a bad breakfast too when you're on the road. There, Denny's has a Grand Slam breakfast, not bad, Denny's, a little Grand Slam breakfast.
Yeah,
Denny's.
Denny's was my first job.
Oh. That's got to be priceless.
Oh, can I help you?
Big D from Denny's.
Now, were you?
I was like the host.
Oh, you were a host.
I sat people.
I thought you were the guy that says, "Are you going to finish that?"
Hi, my name's Damon. Welcome to Denny's.
He would clear the table.
It didn't work too good.
No Grand Slam.
Well, because I don't know why. I mean, grandmothers always loved me.
Yeah.
But when they came into Denny's for some reason,
did you try and sit with them?
No, but they were just where would you where do you want to sit? Do you have and then you'd see them and they go, well, I don't like this. And you put him somewhere else. Well, no, I don't like this one either.
Oh, they were egging you on. Yeah.
So I had these two lovely. I had the Golden Girls.
Damon losing his cool.
As soon as they walked in, Damon scrambled.
I lost my cool.
Oh!
She said we want a window seat on the third place. I said, well, you're not on an airplane.
You'll sit there and like it.
Did you say you're not?
Yes.
You're not on an airplane.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
that's good. That's good.
I believe you were fired probably.
They go for a nice breakfast and they're getting assaulted by Damon, the maitre d'.
Yeah, I had Damon trying to hash things out with them. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Damon. May I help you? Would you like to be seated? You're not sitting there.
See, that's the problem. Where do you want to sit?
You'll sit there and like it.
I've never gotten where do you want to sit. They just take you.
Yeah, they got a
where
plan.
you're going because they're on a rotation.
Well, I was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. Don't be nice.
No, you were trying to be nice.
I'll be like, can I get something a little romantic next to the dumpster? Yeah. Put your
David's trying to be nice till he flips out at a bunch of old ladies trying to go to Denny's.
Yeah.
Hey, so my cousin Roger sent me this. Does this make any
Roger
sense?
the Dodger.
Roger the Dodger says, why don't we have a conservative judge do a nationwide injunction on abortion, see how fast they claim no jurisdiction?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good move.
That one, that's a good one.
What do you think of that?
Well,
Yeah.
gotta have somebody
damn good.
step up and do that.
I think that's a great idea, by the way. That might get Congress to vote this properly to deal with this. Yeah, you got a lot of good cousins.
Stephen Terry says, you guys should all start drinking now and show us your true selves since you're off the air. And just on, I know, I love this. I just can say anything. There's no time. I can just, whatever.
We didn't even
We
spike
can
our
talk about
coffee.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't even spike that with a little bit of that maple.
No, that's for
rum?
Friday, though.
Did you try that already, Vin?
No, I don't really drink.
What's that?
This was a
maple
gift yesterday.
No, Big D's not. He's not a drinker.
Yeah, look at that maple bourbon.
Yeah, we had.
I'm not really
a
a drinker,
night.
but I
You're
love
not?
breakfast at
Jeez,
Denny's.
You're kidding me, Vin. You're not a drinker?
I'm not a drinker.
Could never have guessed.
Yes, my friends will go out and they'll all order their drinks and they'll say, "Do you want a new Coke or a classic Coke?" I'm like, "All right, guys, enough."
Ken says, I agree with Vinny. I think we should just do all audience stuff now.
Okay.
From now on.
All right.
Yeah. Well, let's just why is that funny?
Just the way you said it.
Rick said from now on. Like
I meant from now on, meaning from now to the end of whenever we would decide we want to end.
Well,
Ken says, I agree with Vin. Ignore the damn judges. They have no standing. Just allows them to keep going.
well, I mean, yeah. I don't understand why we're listening to them if they have no standing. What part of they have no standing is the Trump administration not following here?
How about we listen to Thomas Massey here for a second? You want to hear him? His take on all this?
I haven't heard Tom in many, many weeks. Thank you.
Tom, it's all the Fetzer valve. Here we go. Here's Massey today.
Have a steak sandwich.
To the gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Massey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This hearing reminds me of a breakfast I had with Antonin Scalia. About a dozen of us congressmen invited him to breakfast, and this was about a decade ago when Obama was the president and John Boehner was the speaker. And my colleagues appealed to Scalia and said, what can you do? You need to get involved here. The courts need to get involved. Obama's running roughshod over Congress. And Scalia refused to accept that premise. He said, no, this is not my job to referee fights between your two branches. My job is as a jurist to decide if somebody's been harmed and what the remedy is. And occasionally we interpret the law and the constitutionality of it. He said, and by the way, you're the most powerful branch of government. I don't know what you're complaining about. All the tools you need to restore the balance are in the Constitution. And one of my colleagues protested that impeachment was just too hard to pull off, given the threshold in the Senate and the political backlash. And Scalia shook his head. He said, I'm not talking about impeachment. You all have the power of the purse. You are funding everything you complain about that Obama is doing.
Bingo!
Just quit funding it. And it was a pretty clear message. Now, that was about tension between Congress and the executive branch, and our hearing today is about tension between the judicial system and the executive branch. But I think it's still the case that what Scalia said is true. Let me give you an example of something I'm going to predict is going to happen in the courts soon that I'm not going to have much sympathy for the president. So the president recently had a press conference and said he's going to wind down the Department of Education. Oh, great, that's my bill. I've got a one-sentence bill that eliminates the Department of Education. I should be very excited about this. The problem is, much of the activity that he says he will undertake, he just signed into law the funding of it a week before. We did a continuing resolution that fully funds every single penny of the Department of Education then a week, and the president signed it. This is, as Professor Shaw pointed out, appropriations bills are laws too, and they require both chambers and then the president to sign it. And so it's an appropriation bill, it's a law, It's in law, and a week later, he announces that he doesn't like some of the law, and so he's going to do things differently. So that's my problem that I have. Now, I do think it's a good hearing, and this is a great question. I tend to think that probably there are cases where they shouldn't have nationwide injunctions, but this is a double-edged sword. Under the Biden administration, he did unconstitutional and unlawful things during COVID that were stopped with nationwide injunctions. So, for instance, he had a rent moratorium that was stopped until the Supreme Court eventually basically said it was illegal. He refused to grant religious exemptions to the vaccines in the military. There was a nationwide injunction. Actually, one of the attorneys in that is a constituent of mine, Chris Wiest, who stopped all of the vaccine mandates at that point in the Air Force. That was a nationwide injunction. And then his OSHA vaccine mandate was stopped with a nationwide injunction. So I'm torn on this. Maybe if we just don't have nationwide injunctions, people in certain districts can live under tyranny or the perception of it. And if you're in a different judicial district or circuit, you get some remedy from the tyranny. Maybe it works out better that way. Maybe we should have tried each of these cases in each of these courts and found out the answer. But,
Okay, so let's stop it there. I mean, that kind of sounds like we need to make red states red and let blue states be blue to me, but maybe that's not what he's saying. But what do you think of his double-edged sword argument?
It's a good argument, but one thing I don't agree with, sure, Congress has the power of the purse. Try and get that approved. Try and get Congress to use the power of the purse to stop the funding of the Department of Education.
Well, like we just said, we just signed the CR that funded all the stuff that even Doge found. We just funded USAID again.
We just funded all of that stuff. My point is that Congress is never going to agree to unfund these things with it where it's set up right now. It's too close. The only move is the Supreme Court. I agree that should be the process. The power of the purse should effectuate the changes that we're talking about, but they just won't get passed. I mean, look at what they went through with this last thing. I mean, it's too close.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, so the funding was approved, but if the agency doesn't exist, where does the money go?
Well, that
doesn't go anywhere.
Ultimately, they're not going to be able to spend the money.
Exactly. So
I get that.
It goes back.
And that's correct.
So yeah, we could. Oh yeah. We got.
I'm sure they won't spend it. Yeah.
Well,
it's appropriated. No, we're not going to spend. No, we're not going to spend it. Please send it back.
Yes.
Said no one ever.
Well, said Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, said Ron DeSantis
in Florida.
Oh yeah.
I can't give it back. But the point is that it's not an automatic being spent, Dame.
Right.
It's not like because it's there, it's not automatic. I think to Rick's point, it's in a holding pen, for lack of a better place, right? But undoing it using the power of the purse, you need a big majority to do that, and we don't have it. End of story. I mean, do you think anything's ever going to happen?
Well, especially with the way these senators and representatives are, many of them aren't who they say they are. They carry the R, they carry the D, but they're all one big party. And it's all about taking care of them and making sure that they get taken care of. I mean, if you were to remove all that, any inkling of them being able to dip in and line their pockets, you probably see a vastly different way they voted if they were stuck just making $180,000 a year. That's it. That's what you got. Chances are they probably wouldn't last that long and be like, get me out of here. Yep. I served my time. Let me try and parlay this into a bigger gig somewhere as a lobbyist or something like that. But, that they wouldn't be sticking around Congress that long.
I agree.
I think maybe you would eventually get to the better candidates, the better people that you want in those offices. But right now, the way the system is set up, no, they're all dirtbags, and they know it. The best people stay out of politics for the most part. We've heard that a million times.
That's right. We need to get term limits in place.
Yeah.
We need to stop this backdoor cycle that Elon Musk is talking about cycling money back. And the third thing we got to get rid of, the money that's surrounding these elections and these candidates. Soros is just one of many. And we have, Musk threw a lot of money, thank goodness, to balance off Soros, but it's ridiculous. The super PACs, the amount of money going towards these things, you have to level the playing field if we want good people and we want fair elections, which, by the way, that if the Democrats have had it their way, there'd be no fair elections ever.
Right. Here's cut number 2 here. Check out Mike Benz. He's sitting with Sean Ryan on USAID. And what exactly everybody over there is afraid of. Cut number 2. Check it out.
They have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes there or how dark many of the operations they thought USAID was involved in. And I think that this is part of what the blockade being set up right now to stop DOJ from finding out is about. They don't want them to have USAID's books. They don't want them to have the internal records. They don't want them to have the emails and communications. They definitely don't want them to have the transfer of money flows. This was the sort of thing that even the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which directly oversees USAID, could not get access to until the present moment. Senator Joni Ernst had an X-Space with Elon Musk where she said when she tried to do oversight, she was threatened by USAID. When USAID ran the Zunzanillo op in Cuba in 2014 and the scandal popped off who approved this, and it turned out it was all in-house at USAID, what Senate staffers said was when they tried to get oversight of this operation along the way, they were told that if Senate staffers found out what USAID was doing, people could die.
Yeah. So that's kind of a big ask. You want to die for this?
Well, look at what's happening.
Right.
I read a couple of things about Musk today that I thought were interesting. I don't know if you heard this. He said that the U.S. government deleted a terabyte of financial information to cover their crimes. They found that they deleted a terabyte of financial information. And then he says, but they don't understand technology, so we recovered it. These are the things that under normal conditions, if they were looked at, they'd get away with because they're used to getting away with it. No one's this smart. No one understands how to pull it back, like he's doing. They're finding all sorts of stuff. And, he actually said on a show, I'm going to be assassinated, if I say any more.
Right, we played.
I don't think he was kidding.
He was on with Rogan when he said that.
He was on with Rogan when he talked about that.
Yeah.
I don't think he was kidding.
No.
It's got to be scary. He's seeing stuff that is so monumental and corrupt that if he were to speak about it, I bet you they would do very dastardly things to this guy.
Yeah.
Not just try and ruin his business, which, by the way, he owns 12.8% of Tesla. Let's keep that in perspective. Right. Who owns the rest? Your 401k. My 401k. Pension funds in every city. I mean, the morons out there who have no clue or anything works, besides the fact of, they're 80% of Tesla owners are liberals and they're keying their cars and burning them down. I mean, the whole thing's so hysterical.
Hey, Fran, do we have any Epstein update for the day music?
No.
We should find like a...
I thought the music I found was fitting enough, but I can find something.
We should find some good music for our Epstein update, but since we don't have any music...
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. Let's do it now. Epstein update for the day, Tuesday, April 1st, new month, new quarter.
I'm excited.
Brings new hope. In the Epstein update, let's go to today's for the first of the month update. Bum, bum, bum. Here's Rick Delgado. Rick Delgado, give us the update.
Here it is, Damon.
Oh, cue Whitney Houston.
Right.
I have nothing. That
like life is a blank sheet of paper.
All right, thank you, Rick Delgado. There's your Epstein update for the day, April 1st. 2025. We'll have another update tomorrow on April 2nd, right here live from Studio 6.
No fooling.
Rick Delgado.
Just to give you an update, Wisconsin spring election, Supreme Court. Susan Crawford just took the lead. She's the Democrat. She was trailing Brad Schimmel for most of the early vote. Again, only 6% of the vote in.
That's early.
She now holds about a 800 vote lead, 71,278 to 70,640. So 50.22% to 49.78%, 6% of the vote in. So far, well, most of the counties look down around Milwaukee. It was kind of red, Madison blue. So still a long way to go, obviously. 6% of the vote in, but Schimmel had like a 10-point lead early on in some of the earlies, but now obviously you're getting some more balance between blue and red counties. So now you're pretty much in a dead heat, which I would suspect this I mean, not knowing anything really about this race, I would suspect this race, given all the hype you've heard around it, is going to be tight.
There's no question. Well, I'd love to see a map of Trump's county wins there, just to see where the real red districts are, and where he's going to pick up votes, which hopefully he does. People don't understand the implications of all this stuff. Elections, are something that we probably don't get as deep into it as we need to. But something like this is major, materially affecting so many things in this country.
Especially this, because they can gerrymander the districts there.
Well, they're going to try and do that in New York too.
Yeah, and try to eliminate a couple of Republican seats in Wisconsin. That's the goal.
That was also the goal of open borders.
Right.
I always thought, my initial thought was, well, that's to get votes. It is. It still is. They're getting Social Security numbers. Musk has already talked about that. They're giving them away. But it's to redistrict, because they can be censored, towards the census, and getting in there and changing the districts. I mean, this is just diabolical, the way they have plotted and done these things. But you couldn't stop it. You need legislation to change that. I think I remember somebody saying that.
Super chat, Big D. One more quick one.
Go ahead.
All right, super chat.
We're in no rush, Slick. Take all the time you want.
Okay, here we go.
Hello.
Sorry to interrupt. Turbo 231 girl, $9.99. This is what she says. This is the best show ever, with the best friends in chat. Prayers, hugs, and love. Miss you guys. So Turbo 231 girl, thank you for that super chat.
Thank
best
you very
show
much
ever. That's
for
a nice
the comment as well. Yeah,
beautiful.
Better than Seinfeld.
What?
Better than Seinfeld?
Well,
yeah.
That's old news, that show.
Yeah, and that's a show about nothing.
Not better than Fletch, though. Delgado, a victim of Epstein, was hit by a bus. Did you hear this?
Yes, Samantha Guthrie. I had that story. I wasn't going to talk about it because, of course, I didn't want to...
You didn't want to poke the bear?
Sully our coverage of the Epstein files. But Jeffrey...
No, we're covering arrests and name drops, right? Aren't we?
Yeah. Well,
right.
this has to do with...
They're coming fast and furious.
Oh, yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein accuser. Just went out on me. Where'd you go?
Mark Milner says, while you find that love Rav, but LFSXP is the best. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Let's see here. What else we have?
Yes, here it is.
Okay, go ahead.
Jeffrey Epstein victim, Virginia Guthrie. She was in a bus accident, offering new details coming from the New York Post. When she got into this bus accident. A statement from Guthrie's spokesperson seemed to dispute the sex trafficking victim's assertion on Sunday, because on Sunday she announced on Instagram that she was near death. Her spokesperson said the mother of three was in serious condition at an Australian hospital. New details came after the police in Western Australia, where the U.S.-born Guthrie lives, said there's no reported injuries in the March 24th crash between Guthrie's car and a school bus outside of Perth. I would claim shenanigans when you see the picture that she posted. However, a spokesperson for Guthrie insisted she was forced to go to the hospital after her condition worsened several days after the crash. Virginia was banged up, bruised, and returned home following the collision. Police did not have recourse to come to the scene of the accident at the time. They asked if anybody was injured and suggested if they were, they should make their way to the hospital on their own. The school bus driver had a bus full of distraught kids and left the scene to get them back, it says here, concerning her Instagram post. Virginia thought that she had posted on her private Facebook page. Today, she remains in serious condition while receiving medical care. And, of course, you might remember Prince Andrew is the dirtbag who's been alleged to be the one who violated Miss Guthrie when she was an underage teen. This, of course, forced him to lose his royal and military titles, claimed that he basically claiming that he didn't know her when they showed up in a picture alongside of each other. So there's a picture of Guthrie lying in a hospital bed with some gruesome bruising and cuts to her face. She claimed that the school bus had crushed her car like a tin can when it crashed into her.
And so I guess people try to take this and say it's tied to like Epstein sent someone to hit her with a bus,
like trying to take her out.
Right.
But
really, it's just a bus accident.
It's a bus accident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because unless the bus driver was
a Clinton,
yeah,
or a Kennedy.
Hillary was driving the bus.
Yeah.
So that's the update from.
By the way, has everybody seen the
Virginia
new slick
Guthrie.
that I talked about, the new odds maker shirt?
Yeah, you did a little bit. You touched on it a little bit there.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's looking pretty good.
Whoa, come on.
Look at that.
That's it. That is a good looking suit there too.
That's a calendar. That's a calendar deal.
That isn't a calendar shot though, is it?
No.
No.
That's a calendar suit.
Yeah, that looks like maybe an aquarium square dance there or something.
Yeah.
That is a massive football.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a really big. Well, you know what? It is true. It is to scale when you see the size of Slick in person.
Oh,
that's right.
Nice though, guy.
That's that nice.
And you wonder why I zing in more talking. Switching gears here, boys.
Yes.
Super Chat. Back to Super Chat. Yahoo Yaboo, $10. You guys need to play more Yaboo music. Laugh out loud. Remember? Slick Rick. Yeah, that song. And we got, let's see. Turbo 231 gifted 5 live subs from Studio 6B memberships. That was very nice for her. And we also got ANKH gifted 5 live from Studio 6B memberships. Big D. So they're very generous in the chat tonight in YouTube.
Small Town Barbie says on Rumble, most of Wisconsin is red. Well, I guess we're going to find out. Let's get an update here.
Well, if they show up.
That's the thing.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
There it is. Slick Rick.
Was there any more to that song, or that was it?
Oh, yeah, that was the whole song. Come on, Big D.
That's just the first verse.
The Democrats up even bigger now, 51.3 to 48.7. Susan Crawford has now opened up a 7,000 vote margin with 13% of the vote in. So, can I? Let's see. Can I make this bigger?
There it is.
That's right. Yeah.
This courageous cat.
Mr. Slick Rick. Look at that. I see Ron and Norma Klein dancing through the living room right now.
No.
Damon is stuck and Buddy is ho-hum. There on the left-hand side, he's got that magic smile. Oh, the man in the dreads makes me pause.
Man in the dreads makes me pause. What's his name?
Mr. Slick Rick. Mr. Slick.
Yabba dabba yaboo.
I feel like I got to order a cocktail and some small hot dogs.
Hey, Big D, sounds like
Did
a
you
lot
hear
of news
the
radio.
LFS6B song?
No, let me hear it. No, I did not hear it.
Yeah, you can play that now. No?
Yeah, who cares? We can play it.
The only thing you're missing, Vin, is a velvet suit.
Oh, my God.
This song
Do you
would
have
fit right in.
Do you have the?
Give me a kong chicka kong baby.
No, you don't want to give all your money away tonight.
Have you heard this?
Can we play this song?
I don't think so.
It's time to stop. What you're doing, it's 8 o'clock. Friday night pizza show is on tap. LFS6B is where it's at. Whoa, whoa. America's voice is the place to be.
There's the president.
And of course,
Aren't you glad I'm here?
the show to watch. LFS6B. Yeah.
I've been there too.
How did I get in there?
LFS6B.
How did I get in there?
Slick does sports and dresses to the nines. Big D loves when he says it's rodeo.
Oh, come on now, Big D. Steer open.
But we all love what even is that? Aaron and Fran always holding it down. We look forward to another crazy town.
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to another crazy town. We haven't had one in 6 months.
It's sharp with
Kevin. Look at that.
America's voice is the place to be.
There he is.
Got
Hey,
Delgado and of course Big D. The show to watch. LFS 6B. Yeah.
Huggy Bear in the house.
Look out.
Big D looking good and it's
Look at that hat.
Oh,
That was good, Big D. Look good. Oh, David's here.
Main man Harry is certainly no slouch.
Hey, I still see that guy.
Ass out of the couch. America's voice is the place.
Wow, that's an old one.
Slick Delgado and of course Big D.
We should watch
The show to watch.
We have nothing else to do tonight.
Ooh, yeah. LFS6B.
Do you want to see? Oh, that's what we could really do.
What?
You want to see an original Studio 6B?
Yes, I would love to.
Oh, boy.
2015?
Yeah,
Let's go.
I'd love to see that piece of work.
Let's go.
I got to, let me think.
Let me see this production. Or deduction.
That's when I had dreadlocks, I think.
You be quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me think. Where could I put my hands on this?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, my God. Look who that is.
It's before the plastic surgery, folks. Yeah. And the Botox.
Oh, wait a second.
And the chin implants. And before I had my eyes done.
We've well enough alone.
And I put my paste on sideburns.
Whoa. NBC.
All right. Damon's going to pull this up.
Hold it a second. Let me see if this is.
Good Lord. I got to see this.
Look at this.
Oh, yeah. Hang on.
That makes it 1970, I believe they got married. So that would be 46, right?
Big deal. About 20.
There you go. 46 years. That's very good.
That is stunning in this day and age.
I was told there'd be no math on the show, actually. So, since there is, I agree. I concur.
You haven't changed
46
much.
years they've been married.
Happy anniversary.
You're young.
That's
You're
great.
so young,
I love your
man.
dad. You know that.
You
I don't know your dad, but I already love him.
You keep confusing my dads. You've never met my dad.
Like he was under 50.
You've met my wife's dad.
Oh, your wife's dad. Yeah, sorry about
You've
that.
met the
Damon's
crazy
dad.
German. You haven't met my dad.
Haben Sie einen Plattenspieler, bitte? That means have you a record player, please. That's about all I remember in German.
You met my mom, I think, although she doesn't.
That. I'm going to lose it.
She doesn't remember you.
Oh, my God. I must have not had my hairpiece on that day.
Yes.
That really screws people up with memory.
But you met my uncle, the ice cream.
The ice cream guy.
Yeah,
I was at that barbecue at your house.
Yeah,
making margaritas like a maniac.
Yes, you met Uncle Ice Cream.
Yes.
But my dad wasn't there. But anyway, so the point is
he on the Epstein
we talked gibberish back then. Look at this.
Wait, is that?
This is my son.
Oh, wow.
Baseball. My son.
We'll see if he does a good job. We may make him
on the
maybe
show.
He'll be the sports reporter on Live from
That's a
Studio
lot
60
better looking
for the rest
sports
of the
reporter
summer.
there.
So,
Oh man, Slick.
all right, let's
We had
start
a
off
lot of
with the
auditions
Orioles.
before Slick.
Yeah.
Son came
That
in.
is awesome.
He's got way better hair too.
Oh, he's
Way better.
He looks great there. Yeah.
Is that
That
funny?
ain't saying much.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And you know, the guitars on the wall really help.
That's a great.
Chris Allen said Damon seems so much happier then.
I used to make him clamoring before the show.
Did we
You
talk
just shut up in there.
Clamoring
I don't
for it.
remember either you two putzes bringing this segment to me and say, hey, I think this would work good on the show.
Well, you still treated your co-host like crap.
Pretty
Huh?
good.
I wish him the
Oh,
best.
look at this.
What would you say to that?
He worked in the word
Well, I'd
putz.
say we've had a lot of problems with radical Islamic terrorism. That's what I'd say. We have a lot of problems where you look at San Bernardino, you look at Orlando, you look at the World Trade Center, you look at so many different things. You look at what happened to the priest over the weekend in Paris where his throat was cut, 85-year-old beloved Catholic priest. You look at what happened in Nice, France a couple of weeks ago. I'd say you got to take a look.
There you go. Look at that. That was 2015, Vin.
Yeah. You guys were up against a brick wall.
We had a brick wall and a guitar hanging in the background while we're talking about politics and all kinds of stuff. Oh, man. Yeah, we were figuring it out back then, though. We were, working on it and figuring it out. And I had to recycle all my old German jokes. Haben Sie einen Plattenspieler, bitte?
Well, what's old is new again, right, Vin?
Yeah, you know what? It keeps coming around and around and around and around.
Yeah.
That was very good. Vinny looks the same. What the hell is he smoking? I need some.
You haven't changed. You didn't change much at all. How many years ago was that?
You really haven't changed.
Yeah, that's
2817.
10 years ago.
Wow. You haven't changed much at all.
10 years ago. Yeah, I would think I was 36 at that time.
Big D, you look so young now.
Really, what's going on here? So what is it, 121, I think it is? 122, Crazy Town. Roll that.
This is our show. This is Nadler. I knew it.
This is the classic. That's where it happened.
Congresswoman Maloney, I want to join the distinguished chairman in acknowledging legislation of other members of Congress that are contained in the chairman's legislation that they are putting forth, and chairwoman's. And I also want to acknowledge Maxine Waters is doing some very important work on this subject, not part of this panel.
Oh my God.
Our democracy.
Tumbling down his leg.
Government.
Okay.
The guy in the background put his mask back on.
So I'm going to go to the audience here. The live from Studio 60 audience is a very smart audience, very well thought through things. They can tell when they watch things what's going on. I want you to weigh in right now on social media. We're going to hold our opinions to ourselves.
Come on, social media.
We want you to we want you right now on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope, wherever you're watching the show. Log in here and tell us, did inquiring minds want to know, Jerry Nadler here, what is going on there with Speaker Pelosi on the stage there? The little dance there.
It depends.
It does.
This reminds me of an old Opie and Anthony gag called "What's in Your Pants."
Yeah, well, so we want the audience. Let's just go right to you here. We want you to weigh in here on Chairman Nadler. Something's clearly going on there. So if he, we've had Eric Swalwell on air. Have some problems. So we're wondering if he swalwelled himself here. Yeah. I guess is the best way to put it. So the audience will, I'm sure, creatively weigh in here and let us know what they think.
Now, can we play it again? Because I think I spot the moment it happened.
We need to give Rick one of those telestrators like they have in the football games, so we can all right.
Yeah.
No, we don't need.
I could marker it up. It'd be awesome.
No, we don't know that. No, you're not following the rules, Delgado. I said we're going to hold our opinions to ourselves.
The same way.
We don't know that there's any moment here.
Shame on you.
There may not be a moment. Let the audience. He could just be. Maybe he's listening to the Macarena in his ear. We don't know what he's doing.
Maybe he's practicing for a role as the Penguin in a new Batman movie.
Yes, exactly. It could
Let
be.
me tell you something. That role was inspired by that guy.
Okay, so we'll let the audience weigh in, and we'll check them in the social media. So this is one of the This is why you want to be on double screening the show. Watch the show on the network. Tonight you're going to get the president, but you want to be on social media with us because this is where you can weigh in. And
hey, Don Gendoli looks like he has a little hard gas. That was on YouTube.
Okay, so there's our first weigh in there.
Scott Overmeyer filled his socks.
Okay, there's our second one. So we'll go from there.
Hard gas.
Just one more time, G, just in case the audience did a good look. And if you're just joining us, let's one more time here. We're trying to figure out what is going on here. Crazy Town 122. Roll it, G.
Best Crazy Town ever. Music.
Oh, there it is.
Right there. Right out of the gate.
Left cheek roll.
She's got to put her mask back on. She wanted to get a snap.
All of a sudden, she pulls out a snorkel and a mask.
6th grade Studio 6B.
Oh. Don't drink that coffee,
Waddle. Oh, my God. Look, he had to hold the podium. Look at this go.
Oh, man.
Rick, you nailed that.
That's terrible. Oh, guy.
God.
He walks like Mr. Tugboll from Carol Burnett.
Okay, there you go. So there's your second.
Look at his face. He's discussed himself.
Yeah. So, weigh in. Let us know.
We never laughed so hard on the show.
Oh my God! The show is off the rails.
Delgado
With David is
lost
on
his
God.
his
Well,
bowels
Delgado
on the
thinks he
show.
knows what happened, but well, we'll wait for the audience to weigh in. So
yes, we're waiting for them. We're not saying anything.
I don't even want to know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I want to know what the audience.
That was a push fart.
What the audience.
Paul always had those ones that came out wearing.
Oh my God. Drop the diaper biscuit. Shadow short.
All right,
let's grow up.
Come on.
All right, let's drop this subject. Let's go. All right, that was the rails are off.
Kimberly.
His face, when he makes his face.
right, well, there's important news we have to get to. So
Yeah.
I have another crazy
I can't believe we lasted
Won't be
all
as
these
good as
years
that
after
one,
this
obviously.
episode.
Kimberly Holcomb said it's the curly shuffle.
Curly shuffle.
All right. Well, that could be the curly shuffle. So, oh, my God. There you go.
In the U.S., they call it Montezuma's Revenge. In Mexico, they call it the Nadler.
Oh, yeah.
One or the other.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Man.
All right, update in Wisconsin. It's not good.
Oh, it's funny.
Susan Crawford now has a 17 percentage point lead. With 35% of the vote in, it is 58.1 to 41.9.
Ouch.
And I'm assuming this is probably because a lot of blue areas are coming in down by Madison.
Probably.
Yeah. Looks like it right there on the map.
Iowa County, Sauk County, if I'm pronouncing that right, Richland County, Crawford County, obviously Dane County, very blue.
Is there a tinfoil hat county?
Greene
County,
County, Rock County.
Wait.
All of these are new.
Her name is what? What's her last name?
Crawford.
And what county did you just say? Crawford County?
Oh, I don't know.
She probably has to win that one, you would think.
Pierce County, Bayfield County, all blue counties. So, yeah, we'll see. 58-42 right now. Keeps changing. 57-42.
We're coming back. I feel it. We're coming back.
Well, 38% of the vote is not insignificant, but I guess once you get up towards that 60-70%, then you really start to take a look at where you're at. So, let's see about the other race in there because they had some other things on the ballot. Question 1, voter ID requirement. Voters will decide whether to amend the Wisconsin Constitution to require photo ID to vote. That was a big yes. And yes won.
Good.
And they've called it for yes. 486-370 to 320. So 40% of Wisconsin's constituents still don't think you should have to show ID to vote.
No.
Which is
when your whole party is cheating, why would you do that?
Exactly.
Superintendent of Public Instruction. The Democrat is winning right now. They have not called it, but the Democrat's winning 54-45. Jill Underley beating Brittany Kisner, who's the Republican.
Jill Underhill?
Put it on the Underhill spill. In Florida, we told you when we started the show, Randy Fine, 56-42. So he's up 14 percentage points right now. And again, a district where Trump won, I think, 44, and the governor won about 42. U.S. House District 1, Jimmy Petronis, 57-42 over the Democrat.
Okay, Jimmy.
And that's pretty much it in Florida. Yeah, so those are your races as of right now. So, all right, we got a couple minutes left here. Anything else slick in sports that's happening tonight that we should know about? Well, we got to make our when's the Masters? April 12th. So we still got another week.
Yeah, we got time for that. Yeah.
Make our Masters prediction.
Yeah.
You're not picking Tiger, are you?
No, I don't think so.
Did you see his April Fool's this morning?
Yeah, he was a bit of a heel today. Yeah, that Achilles thing. I saw that. Yeah, you little April's Fool. That was okay. But Capitals' Alex Ovechkin scores 890 first goal, trails Wayne Gretzky by only 3 goals to break the record.
I'm blown away by that.
Wow, Dave Wasserman. I'm sorry, Slick, for jumping in, but Dave Wasserman, who on election night, one of those guys you definitely follow, he's calling it for Susan Crawford. He said, I've seen enough. Susan Crawford is going to defeat Brad Schimmel in the Wisconsin Supreme Court election, preserving the Liberals' 4-3 majority. So he's calling it already from what the numbers he sees, I guess, and what counties are left. So that's too bad. Republicans are going to take an L there, it looks like. All right, Slick, sorry about that.
Yeah, well, no, we're talking about Ovechkin. He has 12 goals in his past 18 games. He's absolutely on fire right now for a 39-year-old NHL player. Pursues the career goal mark set by Wayne Gretzky before retiring in 1999. I believe he retired with the Rangers that year, if I'm not mistaken. And the 39-year-old Russian has 38 goals this season and is on track to reach 40 for the 14th time. Also the most in league history, despite missing 16 games because of a broken left fibula earlier this year. Amazing, right? The first-place Capitals have 8 more games left in the regular season. So he gets 3-4. He gets 3 more goals. He'll tie it. 4, he'll break it. That's not that impossible with the tracking he's on now. I didn't think he'd do it this season. I really didn't a couple of weeks ago. But he could very well break the record, which is absolutely amazing. Well, one more sweep of the scoreboard, Big D, before I throw it back to you. We're going to go to the NIT tournament right now. We got Villanova right now leading Colorado 52-35, 14 to go in the second. Finals from earlier tonight. Cincinnati over the pole 63-61. UCF 76-75 over Oregon State. We have UC Irvine nipping North Texas 69-67. Chattanooga, Loyola Chicago, and Tulane USC coming up later on this evening. Lightning right now lead the Islanders 3-1, 9 to go there in the third in the NHL. Red Wings and Blues tied at no score. Obviously, Flames and Utah Hockey Club 1-0. Utah winning that one, end of 1. Final from earlier tonight, the Capitals and the aforementioned Ovechkin with that big goal, 1 in Boston tonight, 4-3. Canadians over the Panthers 3-2. That's a final in overtime. Makes it even more difficult for the Islanders. Vin, they picked up 2 points. The Canadians, they're in that last spot there. Sabres 5-2 over to the Senators. Blue Jackets 8-4 over the Predators. Finals there all together. So that's a wrap in sports. Big D, back to you.
All right, Slick. I want to just point this out and make this point because a lot of people, as I sometimes talk with urgency on some of these issues, say, calm down, Damon. We're just this and we're just that. We just got started and he just got in. He just got that. Ned Ryan points out today in Milwaukee in this special election for the Supreme Court, 65% turnout in Milwaukee. 15 to 20% over last April. Most of that Democrat enthusiasm to push back on Trump. Pretty sure it's over for Schimmel, which it looks like it is. And when you think about, combine what Vinny talked about with the judges in the TROs, and then butt that up against a midterm election where we have a real possibility to lose the House, you're taking what could be a 4-year Trump term and you're somewhat reducing it to almost 16 months, 17 months by the time the midterms come, with an energized opposition ready to push back, as we're seeing a small taste of tonight. So when you talk about urgency and you talk about rhinos and you talk about Republicans and you talk about what are you so worried about, this is what I'm worried about. That you're taking a 4-year Trump term in between their judges and the judicial tyranny we're seeing, and the Republicans sitting on the sidelines with the pom-poms, not willing to do anything, codify any of this executive orders into law so far, and really get anything substantial of any kind done. This is what worries me, is the compressed time frame that we're really working in when you look at it. The judge thing is an absolute strategy to kill time, reduce the window, to hopefully take over the House and stunt everything else from there. So when I see that tonight in turnout, those are the things I worry about.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because the Democratic Party is running on, obviously, hate Trump, stop Trump, and all of these things. So their base is energized. I mean, that is the bottom line, and that's why all that money went into these areas. They are energized. That's one of the things we did really well in the presidential election. Charlie Kirk in particular, and all the efforts that were on the ground. We had people energized and we voted. Why? Because we were disgusted with the last 4 years, and everybody got out and voted, and Trump had a record, win. That's what the Democrats are doing, and we should have. Well, we should have known this and done a better job of it, frankly. But you can't stop them from voting, so they've come out in big numbers. We got to come out in bigger numbers if they're there.
By the way, in Florida, HB 1063. You know what that bill is in Florida? Carbon sequestration, the Green New Deal on steroids. Do you know what happened tonight in Florida? It clears the Natural Resources Committee by a vote of 15-2. That's your GOP supermajority. Carbon sequestration. Does anyone even know what that is? The governor tonight said, is this Tallahassee or Sacramento, California? This is absolutely embarrassing.
Can he do anything about it? I guess not. I don't know what the power is.
I guess he could veto it.
Yes, he could. We'll see. I'm just seeing it for the first time. So,
but with that kind of a majority,
we've seen what's been going on in Florida.
It's so strange. How there's just this dynamic happening there.
So yeah, it does look like this. It looks like this Wisconsin Looks like it's going to end around +5, possibly, for the Democrat to win this. So, anything else? And then I actually saw something else I wanted to get back to. Anything else in the news, Delgado, here?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this this interview regarding the behind the scenes of what was going on with the Biden campaign when he decided to drop out.
There's a book out about that.
There's a book out about it, but here is Tara Palmieri talking with John Allen. I guess he was the one who was behind the scenes and saw everything unfolding and wrote the book. Cut number 9. Check this out. It's pretty interesting because I think I nailed this one when we were talking about what went down.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look up the show after Biden dropped out, but I think I may have nailed this. Cut number 9. Check this out.
John, give me the play-by-play of that conversation between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris when he tells her that he's dropping out of the race.
Biden calls Jim Clyburn, who's in South Carolina, I believe celebrating his birthday, and tells him and says, "Listen, I've got a statement I'm going to get out." And he reads the statement, and Clyburn goes, "There's a problem with your statement." And Biden's like, "What is it?" And he goes, "You don't mention Kamala Harris. You're going to have to endorse her." And Biden says, "Well, yeah, I'm going to leave. I'll eventually endorse her, but I'm going to leave my statement as is." And Clyburn's like freaking out. He's like, "I don't know what to do." He wants to be able to endorse Kamala Harris himself immediately. He needs Biden to get out of the race before he can do that. He's got a 5:30 p.m. phone call set up with Barack Obama. He knows Obama's going to push him to support this, this contested primary open convention idea, and he wants to be able to tell Obama to go pound sand. So in order to do that, he has to have already endorsed Harris himself. So ultimately, that's what Clyburn does, and it's ultimately what Biden does. Biden puts out the first statement, then about half an hour later, he puts out the second statement, launching the Harris campaign's effort to lock down all these delegates. And then Clyburn gets on the phone with Obama at 5:30 p.m. and says, "Mr. President, I have already endorsed Kamala Harris. You need to get behind the vice president. It has to be her." And then their phone call lasts less than a minute, helping foil Barack Obama's plans to have this open convention. Like a wild day, never reported at the time that Harris was ready to launch that whip operation, never reported at the time that she had to beg Joe Biden to issue an endorsement the same day. If he doesn't do it, disaster for her.
I was always wondering what happened between that half hour. When we were all on our toes, what's going to happen? I actually recorded a podcast at that time, and it was like, he can't just endorse her. He has to have it has to be a democratic process.
Yeah. So I think that was my theory as to what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He was, kind of wielding the endorsement power. So I want to go back and look at that show when we talked about that, because I could have gotten that right. Holy moly.
It was the only bullet he had in the gun.
Yeah.
Frankly.
I like how she says it could have been a disaster. Well, what was it? How much more of a disaster could it have been? It was a disaster.
Well, what's interesting, though, is how you see Clyburn and Biden moved against Obama.
That's quite interesting.
Which is interesting for Clyburn as well.
Yeah, and also just devalued Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, good stuff.
They said the phone call lasted less than a minute. He's like, "Nope, I'm already endorsing her."
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
Barry was not happy.
Here's the governor tonight on this carbon sequestration. Just a quick little clip.
The Florida House of Representatives has a Republican supermajority. And what are they spending their time doing? Well, they are hearing in a committee a bill about carbon sequestration, potentially injecting carbon into our soil, aquifer, and even our ocean floor. Carbon sequestration is a scam. It's part of climate ideology, and it should not be in law in the state of Florida. Certainly should not be the work of a Republican supermajority. There are so many things that Floridians want to see get done, everything ranging from property tax relief to voter freedom. Don't indulge the left with carbon sequestration.
Yeah. And of course, this is a governor who's pushing for no property taxes in the state.
Yeah.
And this is what the supermajority legislation is taking up. And why isn't every red state governor talking about no property taxes, especially for people who have paid off their mortgage and still get tied down to having to pay these outrageous property taxes
that just
after you've already paid off the house? You can still lose the house. if you don't pay the property taxes. You got one guy fighting for it. Why is that? Why is it there's only one? Of all the red state governors we have across this country, why is it that no one else, we never have on these big pushback to the iron fist of government, why is it there was only ever one that's actually taking these things on? I don't know.
It's a good question, and it's by the way, it's just great that he's thinking that way. I agree. No one else adopting this? Something's off, and something's off big time in Florida. Big time. Because that just does not make sense.
It's money, right?
It's likely money.
It's likely money. Follow the money.
Well, again, a state that just gave back how much?
Almost $1 billion. Almost $1 trillion.
$1 trillion, whatever.
Trillion.
800 billion, 800 million,
Lord.
something. I forget the number, but
it's a big number.
A lot of donuts.
Anything else, Vinnie Mac, on your mind?
I do. I send this message out to all the people protesting on college campuses and around the country in favor of Hamas. All the gay, transgender, and liberals in general protesting in support of Hamas, because a Hamas citizen protested in Palestine against Hamas. And you know what happened? When he protested, he got beaten for several hours, and his body left on his family's doorstep to let other people know, don't protest against Hamas. This is what Hamas did. He was beaten for 4 hours, and he died after he participated in an anti-Hamas protest in Palestine. They are now trying to speak out, and Hamas is killing you if you speak out. So those protesting in our country for these people, are you kidding me? Should have your head examined. They don't even know what they're protesting against. They have no idea.
They didn't at the Tesla thing the other day either.
They don't know. They have no idea. They're paid, and Musk even said as much. They're paid, and they know who's paying them, and what the groups are, and where the money's coming from. It's incredible, and the news coverage they get for the protests, like it's a bunch of Americans outraged and going to protest. It's none of that. It's nonsense. It's all paid and manufactured. It's a marketing campaign. It's essentially what it is. But I think it's just ironic. You're protesting against Hamas at Columbia University and other places, and you're gay, for example. One, you'll get thrown off the top of a building if you're gay living in Palestine. But having said that, their own citizens try to stand up. They get beaten for 4 hours and put on the doorstep of their home and die. That's not unusual there. That's who you're supporting, but that's how they handle their protests.
Yeah. One last thing before we go that was ironic. Did you guys see the House I think it was the House Oversight Committee or the Senate, somebody's committee, put out the FBI gag order that they had on Biden? Did you see this today, the news?
No, I don't think so.
FBI back in the day had a gag order about the laptop.
Yep.
In these texts that went back and forth that were just, it's funny, cash takes over and all of a sudden these are released. Just unbelievable. What else will we find out that was going on in the last 4 years?
Nothing is going to surprise us.
All right, thanks for sticking with us. Hour 2. As always, we salute all our emergency personnel. Thanks, everybody on this show. Aaron Friend, great job as always. Most of all, thank you, the live from Studio 6B audience. We'll see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m., back here live from Studio 6B.